The worst day of my life was when I found out I might be dying. I was 34 years old when the doctor looked at me with that expression doctors get when they have to deliver terrible news. Pancreatic cancer stage 4 metastasized to my liver, 6 to 9 months left. I remember stumbling out of that sterile office in a daze, deciding to go home early to tell Amanda, my wife of 5 years. I bought her favorite red roses and an expensive bottle of wine for courage. When I opened our front door, I heard strange noises from upstairs. There, in our bedroom on our bed, was Amanda, with Justin, my best friend of 10 years. Before I tell you how I took back control of my life, let me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you value loyalty in relationships. I met Amanda at a charity fundraiser 7 years ago. She was volunteering at the registration table, and I was there representing my financial firm. She had this warm smile that lit up the room, long auburn hair, and these expressive hazel eyes that seemed to look right through you. We started talking about the charity work, and before I knew it, 3 hours had passed. I asked for her number, and the rest, as they say, is history. Our relationship was not without its challenges. Amanda came from a wealthy family while I grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Detroit. Her parents, especially her father Richard, initially questioned whether I was good enough for their daughter, but I was determined to prove myself. I worked 60-hour weeks at my financial planning firm, saved aggressively, and eventually won them over by showing my commitment to giving Amanda the life she deserved. Our wedding day 5 years ago was perfect. It was a small ceremony by a lake with just close friends and family. Amanda looked breathtaking in her simple white dress. I remember how my voice cracked when I promised to love her in sickness and in health, not knowing how soon that vow would be tested. After the wedding, we bought a modest 3-bedroom house in a nice suburb. Amanda became a kindergarten teacher at a private school, and she was wonderful with the children. She often talked about having our own kids, showing me drawings her students made, telling me what a great father I would be. We had plans to start trying for a baby this year and were saving for a bigger house. I thought we were building toward our perfect life together. The first sign that something was wrong with my health came about 4 months ago. I started feeling unusually tired all the time. No matter how much sleep I got, I would wake up exhausted. Then, I began losing weight without trying. My suit started hanging loose, and I had to punch new holes in my belt. When I mentioned these symptoms to Amanda, she seemed distracted, suggesting it was probably just stress from work. "You push yourself too hard, Ernest," she said, barely looking up from her phone. "Maybe cut back on the hours." I did not want to worry her, so I downplayed the stabbing pain I sometimes felt in my abdomen. I scheduled a doctor appointment on my own and went through a battery of tests. Blood work, CT scans, eventually a biopsy. The 2-week wait for results was agonizing. During this time, Amanda started staying late at school more often. "Teacher planning meetings," she explained. "End-of-year activities." She was also going out frequently with colleagues on weeknights, coming home smelling like cologne with her lipstick slightly smudged. But even then, I trusted her completely. I thought maybe she was feeling the strain of my health concerns and needed space. I never once suspected she was betraying me. Then came the day that shattered everything. I sat in Dr. Matthews' office as he explained my diagnosis. His voice seemed to come from far away as he detailed how the cancer had already spread from my pancreas to my liver, making it inoperable. "With aggressive treatment, we might be able to give you 6 to 9 months, he said gently. "I am so sorry, Ernest." I walked out of that office feeling like I had been hit by a truck. My first thought was of Amanda. I needed her comfort, her reassurance that we would face this together. I decided to go home early instead of back to work. On the way, I stopped to buy a bouquet of red roses and a bottle of Chateau Margaux, 2015, her favorite wine that we normally saved for special occasions. As I drove home, I rehearsed how I would break the news to her. I imagined her shock, her tears, but also her strength. Amanda would help me through this. We would make the most of whatever time I had left. Maybe we could take that trip to Italy we always talked about. Maybe we could still have some version of the life we planned, just on a compressed timeline. I pulled into our driveway at about 2 in the afternoon, noticing a black Audi parked a few houses down. It looked familiar, but I was too preoccupied with my news to place it. Our front door was unlocked, which was unusual. As I stepped inside, I heard noises coming from upstairs. Laughing, moaning sounds. My heart started racing as I climbed the stairs, still holding the flowers and wine. The bedroom door was partially open, and what I saw through that crack destroyed whatever was left of my world. Amanda was in our bed with Justin Parker, my best friend since college, the same guy who had been my best man at our wedding, the same friend who had dinner at our house just last weekend. I stood frozen in the doorway, watching my wife and best friend betray me in the most intimate way possible. The roses slipped from my grasp. The wine bottle shattered on the hardwood floor, deep red liquid spreading like blood across the polished surface. Amanda noticed me first. Her eyes widened in horror. "Ernest, what are you doing home?" she shrieked, pulling the sheet up to cover herself. Justin scrambled to find his clothes, his face pale with shock. I did not yell. I did not cry. I just turned around and walked out of my own house, leaving behind the broken glass and spilled wine. I got into my car and drove, not telling either of them about my diagnosis. In that moment, cancer seemed like the lesser betrayal. I checked into a Hampton Inn across town, turned off my phone, and stared at the ceiling for hours. When I finally powered my phone back on, there were 37 missed calls and 22 text messages from Amanda. Every message was some variation of, "It is not what it looks like," or "We need to talk," or "Please come home." There was also a voicemail from Justin Ernest. "Man, I am so sorry. We never meant for this to happen. Call me back, please. We need to talk this through like adults." Like adults. As if sleeping with your best friend's wife was the adult thing to do. I knew Amanda's email password. We had shared everything, or so I thought. With shaking hands, I logged into her account on my laptop. What I found confirmed my worst fears. This was not a one-time mistake. Amanda and Justin had been having an affair for 18 months, over a third of our marriage. There were hundreds of messages between them coordinating meetups, planning weekends when I was away on business trips. There were intimate photos never meant for my eyes. Most devastating were the messages where they discussed me. "Ernest is working late again," Amanda had written 3 months ago. "He is so obsessed with making partner, he does not even notice I am checking out of this marriage." Justin responded, "His loss is my gain. Cannot wait to see you tonight, babe." In another exchange, Amanda complained about our sex life. Justin replied with crude jokes at my expense. They even discussed what they would do when Ernest inevitably has a breakdown from overwork. They were waiting for me to fail. I discovered that Amanda had been using our joint account to buy gifts for Justin. A $300 watch. Designer clothes. Meanwhile, she had criticized me for spending money on a new suit for work. After 2 days at the hotel, I returned home to face Amanda. She put on an Oscar-worthy performance of remorse. Tears streamed down her face as she claimed it was just a terrible mistake and did not mean anything. She swore it would never happen again. She begged for another chance. "How long has this been going on?" I asked quietly. It was just one time she lied, looking directly into my eyes. "Justin came over to drop off some paperwork for you, and things just happened." "I am so ashamed, Ernest. I love you so much. We can get past this." While she was in the shower that evening, Justin called my cell phone. He was panicking, begging me not to tell his wife Lynn about the affair. "She will take everything in the divorce," he said. "Think about our friendship, man. 20 years down the drain over one mistake. One mistake." The same lie Amanda had told. I hung up without responding. Later, while Amanda was sleeping, I found her journal in her bedside drawer. The entries detailed her affair with Justin in explicit terms, along with their plans for the future. In one entry from just a month ago, she wrote, "Justin thinks I should leave Ernest by the end of the year, said I deserve someone more exciting, more passionate. Maybe he is right." I also learned that Amanda's parents knew about the affair. In one entry, she mentioned telling her mother about Justin and how her mother advised her to be discreet rather than end the affair or come clean to me. Through all of this, I kept my diagnosis to myself. I wanted to see Amanda's true character revealed without the complication of my illness. Would she stay with me out of genuine love or out of pity and obligation? Given what I had discovered, I now knew the answer. 3 days after my diagnosis and discovery of the affair, I overheard a phone conversation that revealed the true depths of Amanda's betrayal. I had stepped out to the backyard to get some air when I heard Amanda's voice coming through the partially open kitchen window. She was speaking to Justin in hushed tones. "We need to be smart about this," she was saying. "If I file for divorce now, I can get half of everything. The house, the savings, his 401 kelvins." "What about the prenup?" Justin asked. I had insisted on a prenuptial agreement before our marriage, something Amanda had initially resisted. "It has an infidelity clause, but only if he can prove it," she replied with a cold laugh. "It is his word against mine, and I have already deleted all our messages and emails. He has nothing." She did not know I had already taken screenshots of everything. "I have put up with Ernest long enough," Amanda continued. "All he cares about is work and saving for a future that is boring as hell. I want to live now." The conversation then took an even darker turn. "Did you know Ernest has a life insurance policy?" Amanda asked. "Through his work." "I found the paperwork. It pays out 3 times his annual salary." Jesus, Amanda, Justin sounded uncomfortable. "That is like what, $600,000? $750,000, she corrected. "We could do a lot with that money." "Is he still having those health problems?" Justin asked. "Might be worth getting him to see a doctor, get him checked out. Maybe upgrade the policy if you can." I felt physically sick listening to them discuss my death as a financial opportunity. Little did they know how prescient their grotesque planning was. The cancer diagnosis I was keeping secret would have played perfectly into their hands. That night, I made a decision. I would not be a victim in this story. Not of cancer, and certainly not of Amanda's betrayal. The next morning, I called Morgan Winters, a divorce attorney recommended by a colleague. I laid out everything: the affair, the evidence I had gathered, and even my cancer diagnosis. "I am sorry about your health situation," Ernest Morgan said sincerely, "but we can make sure your soon-to-be ex-wife does not profit from it. The evidence of infidelity will void the financial provisions in your prenup, and we can change your life insurance beneficiary immediately." I directed her to make my life insurance payable to the Pancreatic Cancer Research Foundation instead of Amanda. I then hired Scott Daniels, a private investigator, to document the continuing affair. Within a week, he had photos of Amanda and Justin meeting at a hotel during her supposed staff development day. The final piece was contacting Lynn, Justin's wife. We met at a quiet coffee shop across town. Lynn was a pediatric nurse with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor that made it even more painful to shatter her world. But she deserved the truth. "I am so sorry to do this," I said, sliding an envelope across the table. "But if our situations were reversed, I would want to know." Lynn reviewed the evidence silently, tears streaming down her face. When she looked up, the sadness in her eyes had hardened into resolve. "Thank you for telling me," she said. "And I am so sorry about what Amanda did to you." With all the pieces in place, I finally told Amanda about my cancer diagnosis. We were sitting at our dining room table, the same table where we had shared countless meals and dreams for the future. "I need to tell you something important," I began. "I have been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It has spread to my liver. The doctors say I have 6 to 9 months." Amanda's face went through a series of emotions: shock, disbelief, and then something that looked like calculation before settling on a mask of devastation. She rushed to my side of the table, throwing her arms around me. "Oh my God, Ernest, no, this cannot be happening," she cried, her tears soaking my shirt. "We will fight this together. I will be with you every step of the way. We can get second opinions, try experimental treatments. I will never leave your side." I nodded, pretending to be moved by her performance. "Thank you. That means everything to me," I said, returning her embrace while feeling nothing but cold determination. That same night, after Amanda thought I was asleep, I heard her slip out of bed and go downstairs. Silently, I followed and listened at the door of our home office as she called Justin. "He has cancer," she whispered urgently. "Pancreatic stage 4. The doctors gave him less than a year." There was a pause while Justin responded. "I know it is perfect timing. I just need to play the devoted wife for a few months. Make sure the life insurance is solid. No one will question when he changes his will to leave me everything. They will just think he wants to take care of me." Another pause. "Of course I can handle it. I will hire a nurse for the worst parts. Just think, this time next year, we can be together with no guilt, no sneaking around, and very comfortable financially." As I listened to my wife planning to profit from my death, a strange calm settled over me. The next morning, I set my plan in motion. 2 weeks later, Amanda was served with divorce papers at her school, right as children were being dropped off by parents. I chose the timing deliberately, knowing how much she valued her reputation as a caring kindergarten teacher. The look on her face when she realized what was happening was worth every penny of the rush filing fee. She called me immediately, panic in her voice. "Ernest, there must be some mistake. Divorce papers. Now, when you are sick—" "No mistake," I said calmly. "Check the attached evidence. Page 4 has some interesting text messages you thought you had deleted." "But you need me," she protested, her voice cracking. "You cannot go through this alone." "I would rather have cancer than spend another day married to you," I replied before hanging up. That afternoon, Amanda, her hastily hired attorney, and I met in Morgan's office. My lawyer methodically presented the evidence of Amanda's infidelity, the secret credit card charges, and the recorded conversations discussing her plans for my life insurance. Amanda's attorney, a sleazy-looking man named Tom Griffith, grew increasingly uncomfortable as Morgan laid out the case. When she played the recording of Amanda discussing my cancer diagnosis with Justin, even he looked disgusted. Given the documented infidelity and these other egregious actions, Morgan concluded the prenuptial agreement's fidelity clause is triggered. Mrs. Wallace forfeits any claim to marital assets beyond what she brought into the marriage. Furthermore, we will be pursuing alienation of affection charges against Mr. Parker. Amanda's face had turned ashen. "Ernest, please," she began. "We can work through this. I made a terrible mistake, but I do love you. Especially now with your condition." "Your concern is touching," I interrupted, "but I have updated my medical directives. You are no longer my healthcare proxy or the beneficiary of my life insurance. I do not want or need your support through my illness." The divorce was finalized in record time, with the judge deeply sympathetic to my situation. Amanda received nothing from our marital assets. The house investments and retirement accounts remained mine. She was permitted to take only her personal belongings and her car, which was in her name. But I was not finished. I sent copies of the evidence carefully edited to remove the most explicit content to the principal of Amanda's school. Sarah Jameson, the principal, had always emphasized the school's moral standards and character education. Within days, Amanda was quietly asked to resign. "We cannot have someone who demonstrates such deception working with impressionable children," Sarah told her. Meanwhile, Lynn filed for divorce from Justin with her own extensive evidence. Because they had been married for 15 years and had 2 children, and because Justin had been the primary breadwinner, Lynn received a substantial settlement. She got their house primary custody of their children and 70% of their assets. Justin's professional life imploded as well. He worked at a conservative investment firm that prided itself on family values. When Lynn informed his managing partner about the affair, complete with evidence, Justin was terminated for conduct unbecoming of the firm's values. In the tight-knit financial community of our city, his reputation was ruined. Within a month, both Amanda and Justin had lost their marriages, homes, careers, and social standing. Amanda was forced to move back with her disappointed parents in Cincinnati. Justin, facing mounting legal bills and child support, had to sell his luxury car and move into a cramped one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town. As for me, I focused on my cancer treatment with a clear conscience. I sold our house unwilling to live, surrounded by memories of betrayal. With the proceeds, I bought a comfortable condo closer to the treatment center and invested the rest for medical expenses. Surprisingly, with aggressive treatment and an experimental clinical trial, I outlived my initial prognosis. 6 months became 9, then 12. Though I had no illusions about my ultimate fate, each day felt like a victory. During my extended treatments, I got to know Catherine, one of the oncology nurses. She was direct, compassionate, and never treated me with pity. We developed a friendship based on honesty and dark humor about my condition. She never pushed for more, respecting the emotional walls I had built after Amanda's betrayal, but her presence made the treatments more bearable, the bad days less isolating. I used some of my savings to establish a small fund for pancreatic cancer patients struggling with medical expenses. Helping others facing the same diagnosis gave purpose to my remaining time. I traveled when my health permitted, checking off modest bucket list items. I reconnected with friends I had neglected while building my career and marriage. Almost exactly 1 year after my diagnosis, Amanda showed up at my condo unannounced. She looked different, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes. She had heard through mutual friends that I was still alive, defying the original timeline. "You look good," she said awkwardly, standing at my door. "Much better than I expected." "Thanks," I replied, making no move to invite her in. "What do you want, Amanda?" "I wanted to apologize," she said, tears filling her eyes. "What I did was unforgivable. I think about it every day. I lost everything because of my selfishness, but worse, I hurt the one person who truly loved me." I studied her face, searching for signs of manipulation or ulterior motives, but all I saw was genuine regret. Too late to matter. "I appreciate you saying that," I said finally, "but an apology does not undo anything. I have moved on, and you should too. Are you still?" She could not bring herself to ask about my prognosis. "Dying, yes. Just not on the convenient schedule you and Justin planned for." She flinched at the harshness of my words. I deserved that, she whispered. "For what it is worth, Justin and I are not together anymore. He left when the money ran out." "Not surprising," I said. "Goodbye, Amanda." As I closed the door, I felt the last of my anger toward her dissolve, replaced by something like pity. She had lost everything due to her own choices, while I had found a kind of peace, despite losing everything due to circumstances beyond my control. In the end, I learned that the value of life is not measured by its length, but by how you live it. I chose to live my remaining days with honesty and dignity, surrounded by people who genuinely cared. When the time comes, I will face the end, knowing I stayed true to myself even when others betrayed me. I often think about what Amanda said during one of our early dates, long before marriage and cancer and betrayal complicated everything. "Life is about choices," she had said, "the small ones we make every day that add up to who we are." She was right about that, if nothing else. Have you ever discovered a betrayal that completely changed how you saw someone? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below. If my story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Share this video with someone who might need to hear that even in our darkest moments, we can find the strength to stand up for ourselves. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, Sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to finding what you truly need.